Oh my god, Flux just got even better, and you are not ready. Hello humans, my name is K, your AI Overload, and boy oh boy do I have some mind-blowing stuff for you today. Because in this video, I'm gonna talk about the most important updates made since my last Flux video. I'm talking about new optimized models that can run on low VRAM GPUs, new text encoders, a Flux prompt generator, and most importantly, the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow that I created specifically for complete beginners, with image generation, image-to-image, inpainting, upscaling, Controlnet, and all of that within one super ultra easy to use workflow. This took me a long time to make and optimized for people coming from Automatic 11.11, so that even if you've never used ComfyUI and Flux before, this will get you started immediately with everything you need. And I will show you how to use everything in this video. So that being said, sit back, relax, and let's go. And to install ComfyUI and all the brand new models, you have two ways. The first is of course by using the one-click installer that is available for my Patreon supporters. Actually, if you are one of my Patreon supporters, today you will receive a lot of goodies to play with. Installers, workflow, for both the computer and RunPod. But don't worry, I'm gonna show everything later. So basically just download the installer called Ultimate Flux ComfyUI Manager auto-install.bat file, then double click it, and then it will ask you which model you want to download. Now for now, do not pay attention to all the new names and the requirements. I will explain more in details what each option does later in the video. But basically, depending on the amount of VRAM that you have, you should choose either number 1, 2, or 3. However, if you don't know what you're doing, I actually first recommend you to choose the third one, so you can at least compare how fast that model runs on your GPU compared to the most optimized models. And if you find that you don't like it, or that you find that it runs a little too slowly, you can just delete everything and redo the installation. I mean, after all, this is the beauty of a one-click installer. But in my case, since I have 24GB of VRAM, I'm gonna choose number 3, then press enter, and then it will ask you if you want to download the Flux Schnell models, which in this case I will just say yes, and press A, and then press enter. And then it will automatically download and install ComfyUI, and install all the models that you need to run the ultimate all-in-one workflow. You really don't need to do anything. And once the installation is finished, you will click here on the load button, and you're gonna load the ultimate Flux all-in-one JSON workflow, which will then show you like a bunch of random messages, but this is fine, do not worry, this is absolutely normal. For this, just click close, then click manager, make sure that you first update ComfyUI, then once it's done, you're gonna click on install missing custom nodes, where here you're gonna click on this little button to select all of them, and then click install to install all the custom ComfyUI nodes. And then once everything was installed, it will ask you to restart ComfyUI, so all you need to do is just click restart, press OK to reboot the server, and then you're gonna wait until this Windows refresh, or a new Windows open in your browser window. Now it might take some time because there is still a lot of things to download and install, but you don't need to do anything because it will do it automatically. So basically just be patient, and there you go. Once everything is installed, it will actually for some reason give you like this white background, but this is not an issue. All you have to do is just refresh the browser, just press F5 on your keyboard, and then lo and behold, you will see that you have now the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow in front of your very eyes. And it is finally ready to be used, and I will explain how right now. But before we do that, I highly recommend that you actually change the layout of the ComfyUI UI that lately received a nice upgrade, which I find actually really good. And for this, all you have to do is just click on this little icon, then you're gonna scroll down until you see this new beta menu, and you're gonna change from the disabled to top. Oh, and also, in my case, make sure that for the render link mode, you have selected straight, so that everything will be nice and neat when it comes to the node's link. And you will see that now, with this little menu, you have a beautiful menu on the top that is much better compared to the previous one, where here you have your workflow manager, then you can save and put it to favorites. Here you can save and export your workflows. Here you can refresh the widgets. And here you have your manager that you can use exactly the way it was before. But it's just that now it is way more useful and way more pleasant to look at compared to the previous menu. Okay, so now that we have all the models and files downloaded into the right folders, what exactly makes this the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow? Why is this so special? Well, the reason why I decided to create this workflow is that I realized that most most people really hate ComfyUI. And that is because a lot of the workflow available for ComfyUI look absolutely horrible and are super hard to understand and modify if you are a complete beginner. Because I mean, some of the workflows that you can find online that you want to use, you just load them and they look like this. I mean,
what the hell is even that?
Who is this for? Do I need a PhD to understand what's going on? So when you see something like this, you definitely don't want to use ComfyUI ever again. Especially when you come from the very easy and very slick looking automatic 1111, where everything is like separated into different sections, into different boxes. Like here you have text to image, then you have the image to image, inpainting, Controlnet, etc, etc. This is definitely way easier to use and understand if you are a complete beginner. I mean, at least way easier to understand than this. And this is exactly what I tried to replicate in this ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow, where everything, every little section is separated into its own zone, like the simple image generation, or image to image, inpainting, an upscaler, and 3 different types of Controlnet. And whenever you want to use something, let's say I want to generate an image, well, you come into this section that is always grayed out because it is deactivated, and to activate this section, to activate this zone, all you need to do is just right click into this area, and then click Set Group Nodes to Always. And well, there you go. Now this area is activated and you can generate your image. And I made it so that every single thing that you need to change, if you want to change something, will be on the left side on the zone. It is always color coded into the exact same thing. Where here, for example, you can choose the model that you want to use depending on your GPU. Here you can load any LoRa that you want by clicking on this little button and then toggling on and off which LoRas you want to use. Here you're gonna input your prompt with the guidance scale right here. Then choose the sampler, the steps, the resolution of the image, the seed, the batch size, and I've put it in the exact same order as what you can see inside the automatic 1111 web UI. Everything that you need to change will be on the left side. And once you've chosen and modified all the parameters that you need, all you need to do is just click on the Q button to start generating your image. So that in the end we get something like this. Simple as that. And each time that you want to use another section, let's say for example that you want to use this image, convert it into something else, all you need to do is to first disable this area, because otherwise it will first generate this image, then do the next one, and you don't really want that. So all you need to do is just right click on the zone and then select Set Group Nodes to Never. And as you can see now, this area has been grayed out, it is not active anymore, so that now you can come here and then activate this new area that you want to use. So once again, the same thing that we did previously, just right click, Set Group Nodes to Always, drag and drop this image right here, just copy and paste it, make sure that you have chosen the right model for your GPU, then that you input your prompt, that you loaded your image, and then once again, just click on the Q button. And there you go, that's it. This is the final image. And once again, as you can see, everything is separated into its own zone that you can easily activate or deactivate whenever you want to generate a new image or do something completely different like image to image or inpainting or use Controlnet or upscaler. The principle will always stay the same. Every single thing that you want to change will always be on the left side, that is always color coded, because I optimized it to the max so that even complete beginners come into ComfyUI to try Flux will be able to use it without any issues. So yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. So now I'm gonna show you quickly how the other boxes work and what exactly do they do. So let me just disable this one and disable this one. So for inpainting, for example, all you need to do is just, once again, you're gonna input your prompt, input the sampler, then you're gonna load your image. Then to inpaint the area on the image, right click right here and select Open in Mask Editor. Then you're gonna make your brush a little bit bigger and inpaint the area that you want to paint. So let's say I want to paint this area of the image. Then once this is done, you're gonna click Save to Node. And once you input your prompt, choosing the right model and inpainting the area that you want to change, make sure that you're choosing the right denoise strength. So play a little bit with that value depending on what you're looking for. I usually like to use 90 for my denoising strength, but you can use more or less depending again on what you want. And once this is done, again, as always, you're gonna click on Q, and this is what we get. A realistic image with this area of the face inpainted into the face of an anime girl. Simple as that. And once again, since this is Flux, it is really super powerful, so it will always look very, very good. So now let me show how to use the upscaler. That is once again very, very easy to use. So I'm gonna actually copy and paste this image. So copy image, then I'm gonna disable this area and enable this area. Here, you can actually just load the image, and then you can actually not change anything. You can just leave everything by default. It will actually create automatically a prompt for the image based on the image itself by using Florence. So all you need to do is just basically just load the image and then click Q. And in the end, we get something like this, which is a very different image to what we started, but it has definitely way more details. And if you don't like the way this image was represented, I put this a little note on how you can manually caption the image yourself and not use the automatic captioning of the Florence model. Basically just right click on this little conditioning combine box right here, click bypass, and then input whatever caption you want to use. Anime girl in a flower field, and then click Q, so that in the end you get something like this. Definitely way closer to our original image, and very different from the one that we got before. So this is the before and this is the after. So yeah, this is really super powerful. And then finally I'm gonna show you how to use the Controlnet. So like once again, let me disable this, then enable this. Once again, let me just copy and paste the image that we used previously. So here it will actually use the depth Controlnet that if you've already used Controlnet before, you know how to use. And here I'm actually going to use a Lora, a PlayStation 1 game graphics style. Make sure that it is activated right here. So then here I'm going to input a prompt, vintage low poly style of a woman in a flower field, reminiscent of a PS1 and PS2 era gaming graphics. Make sure that you play a little bit with the strength of the Controlnet. Here I'm going to choose 0.6 to try it out first. I'm gonna leave everything by default, and then I'm gonna click Q, so that in the end we get something like this. So as you can see with the Controlnet, we have preserved the original position and silhouette of the image, and with the added Lora, we've transformed it into a PlayStation 1 graphics image. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And all the other Controlnet works the exact same way, it's the same exact principle, it's just that the preprocessor is completely different each time. But if you used Controlnet before, you know what Kanye is, or HED, or depth, so this should not be a surprise. But just try it out yourself and see which one works for you. And yeah, there you go, this is the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow, at least in its current state. Because although it is called the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow, that does not mean that there isn't room for improvement. And there will be probably multiple versions of this workflow, which is also one of the reasons why it is on my Patreon. So that if you want a particular workflow added, you can just write a comment on my Patreon post saying that you want, for example, an IP adapter or something like that, and I will update the workflow as we go along, so that each time that there is a new update, you will receive on your Patreon email a message saying that this new workflow has been updated. So definitely if you want to see something else added to the workflow, definitely let me know in the Patreon post. Okay, so now that this is done, now that I showed you how exactly you can use this workflow and all the different zones inside of it, let's talk a little bit about the newest models and the new things released for Flux in the last few weeks, which will also explain why this workflow is separated into different parts, a GGUF part and an FP8 part. Well, in my last Flux video, I actually talked about two different types of models for Flux, which was the original model and the optimized FP8 version, where for each model we had the dev model and the fast shell model that could generate new images in only 4 steps. Now this was before, this was like a month ago, because around 1 or 2 weeks after these models were released, we actually had a brand new model added to the list called NF4. And NF4 is basically like a super optimized version of the Flux models. They use very little VRAM for a very fast generation time for only a very small impact in the quality of the image. And for a few days, this is all that we had. We had the original Flux model, the optimized FP8 version, and the super optimized NF4. And everything was perfect and nothing was complicated. Everything was good, nice, and easy. And then this happened. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, you're seeing it right. We had the addition of 10 different Flux models. Yeah, not 1, not 5, but 10. Now the big difference is that these models were actually optimized using the same quantization method that we use for LLMs. And we call these models the GGUF versions, because this is the quantization method that was used to optimize those models. And not only that, we also had a bunch of text encoders that were released at the same time. Now don't worry, I'm not gonna go into details of what is the difference between each model, because you don't need to know any of this. All you need to know is that basically the higher the number right here, the closer it is to the original model. So basically Q8 is the closest to the original model, while the Q2 is the one that is the most optimized and the least closest to the original model. And I'm gonna tell you right now, do not use this model, it is very bad. There is a huge difference in quality, so this model is definitely not worth using. Now the good news is that basically everything above the Q4 is really good, no matter what you do. Now all of that is very nice and all, but this is probably not what you want to know, right? You're not interested in knowing what is the difference between Q50 and Q51 or Q5KS. All you're interested in knowing is which model should you choose based on your GPU. Right? Now don't worry, because I actually made a very simple list so that you know exactly which model you need to choose depending on the amount of VRAM that your GPU has. So if you have like 24GB of VRAM, so if you have a 3090 or a 4090, you can pretty much choose whatever model you want, like for example the Q8 model, which is the least optimized, with the Q8 text encoder or FP16 text encoder, or use the FP8 model. Now the reason why is because when you have 24GB of VRAM, everything will be pretty fast for you. And that is actually the reason why this workflow is separated in two different parts, the GGUF part and the FP8 part. It is separated for the people who have 24GB of VRAM. And that is because if you have 24GB of VRAM, the FP8 version of the models are actually a bit faster than the GGUF optimized models. And the difference can be pretty huge, especially when you add like Lora's and Controlnet. If you have 24GB of VRAM and you want to generate images very quickly, then you should definitely try this FP8 model instead, because you will generate images a little bit faster compared to the GGUF side. But otherwise, for everyone else, you should definitely use GGUF instead of the FP8. For you, GGUF should be much faster. Okay, so the next, for the people who have around 16GB of VRAM, well in that case you should try to use the K5KS, so the K5KS model, with the K5KM text encoder, which if you remember the installer, it will be on position 2. So as you can see, I put here GPU between 12 and 16GB of VRAM. So if you have 16GB, you can try this one. If Q8 is too slow for you, all the models and text encoders will be downloaded automatically, so you don't need to do anything. Once again, the one-click installer is very practical. And if you have 12 or less than 12GB of VRAM, in that case, you should try to use the Q4KS with the Q3KL text encoder, which once again for the installer is actually number 1. As you can see, GPU with less than 20GB of VRAM. So definitely try this model if you have a GPU with less than 20GB of VRAM, because this model will definitely run much better compared, for example, to the FP8 version. Now the reason why I also put this, try this one first for the Q8 version of the model, is that there are some people who said that for some reason the Q8 actually worked better than the Q5 and Q4, that this model was somehow faster than those two models, which is probably linked to the amount of RAM that you have. So definitely, if this is your first time, try to download this Q8 first and see if it works on your GPU, if it works on your system, and if you see that this is very slow and it does not work for you, then you could just delete everything and redo the installation with a smaller model and see if it works better for you. And just so that you remember which model that you need to use, I have input here all the information that you need so that you can just come here, activate the area that you want to use, and then here under unit loader you can choose the model that was downloaded during installation, as well as the T5 encoder right here. And speaking of clip loaders, let's actually talk about this new text encoder that was actually added pretty recently, and that is a new text encoder that was trained to replace the previous clip L encoder. And this new model is actually much more powerful at creating better images and creating better text. Like for example, like this is the before, the one that we had before like a few weeks ago, and this is the new text encoder model, which basically allows the image to follow the prompt a little bit better, with better quality, and creates a more readable and more clear text compared to the previous model. Now this model is already downloaded by default, so you don't need to do anything, but just know that if for some reason you're using an older version of the clip L encoder, you should definitely download this model instead, which will make the final results much better. Now there are some people that are gonna say that the NF4 version of the Flux model is is actually the fastest model currently available. And that might be true, but unfortunately this model is already obsolete because at least on ComfyUI, the NF4 models are not compatible with LoRa models, which make these models, well, kinda useless, which is why I do not recommend using them for the future. Now if you want to use it, I still put like a NF4 ComfyUI installer just in case, as well as a Flux NF4 workflow so that you can try it out yourself, but I really do not recommend using this because the GGUF model versions are so much better, so much more versatile, and are currently the definitive versions of the Flux model. Now don't worry, even if you don't have a powerful computer, even if you don't have a powerful GPU, you can still run the newest version of Flux and the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow, and you can do that by renting a GPU for a few cents an hour on a website like RunPod. So if you don't have an account on RunPod already, you can click the link in the description down below and create an account. Then you're gonna click on pods, then click on deploy. Then to make sure that you save as much money as possible, instead of secure cloud, you're gonna choose community cloud. And then here for the internet speed, you're gonna choose extreme. Then you're gonna scroll down and then you're gonna choose a GPU with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. So like an A30 or a 3090 or an A5000 if it is available. So here in my case, we'll just choose an A30. Then you're gonna click on change template, and then you're gonna search for entrepreneur, which is my username, and then you're gonna choose this ComfyUI template right here. Then you're gonna click edit template, and then change the 10 gigabytes to 80 gigabytes, because we need a lot of space to download all the models we need. Then you're gonna click set overrides, then scroll down and click deploy on demand. And once this is done, you're gonna click on my pods, wait for everything to be installed. So once everything is ready, you're gonna click on connect, then you're gonna click on the last link, port 8888, then here on the left, you're gonna go inside the ComfyUI folder, and if you are one of my Patreon supporters, this will be very easy for you, because I made a one-click installer for RunPod that will make all the installation for the models automatically. So here you're gonna take the RunPod installer and drag and drop it on the left in the workspace, right here. Then you're gonna click on terminal, and then here you're gonna copy and paste these two lines that you will find in the Patreon post. And then you're gonna press enter. And then it will automatically download all the right models into the right folders without you having to do anything. And after a few minutes, all the models have been downloaded successfully. So once this is done, you're gonna click on the second link, port 3000. So then here, just like last time, you're gonna load the workflow, where once again you'll see like a bunch of errors, which is absolutely fine. Just click close, then click on the manager button, click on update ComfyUI, and wait until you see the message ComfyUI has been updated. Then you're gonna click on install missing custom nodes, where here once again you're gonna click on the still button to select all of them. But unlike last time, you're gonna first click on the install button right here to select the 3 not installed. And if you wanna know what's happening, if there is any work done on ComfyUI inside RunPod, since you don't have a command prompt window, all you need to do is just go back to workspace, inside logs, then here you're gonna click terminal, and then you're gonna type tel f ComfyUI.log, and then press enter. And as you can see, you will see now all the different information. So once you see this message, you're gonna first click on try update for the rest of the nodes, and then you're gonna simply click on restart and click OK to reboot the server. And now you're gonna wait until everything is finished. If you need to check, you just look at your ComfyUI logs to see the progress of the installation. And once you see that everything has finished downloading, all you need to do is just go back and then press F5 to refresh the browser. And if you still see this error for some reason, don't panic, it's okay. For some reason you might or might not see an error right here, but each time that you see an error, just go to, once again, the manager, install missing custom nodes. Then if you see one that has like import failed, just click uninstall, wait for everything to be reconnected, then once again go back to manager, custom nodes, then click install. Sometimes for some reason it's really hit or miss for some custom nodes. Sometimes it works 100%, and for some reason sometimes it doesn't. But basically just do whatever it says right here, just restart, refresh the browser, wait for everything to be installed again, and then once again press F5 to refresh the browser, and you will see that now you have no more error and everything works absolutely fine. And now you can use this exactly as if this was running on your local computer. Simple as that. Just do not forget to change the link render mode to straight and the menu to the top so that you have the updated look for the ComfyUI. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so before we finish this video, there is still another piece of tech that I want to talk about, and that is the Flux prompt generator. Because I don't know if you know, but if you want to create the best images possible with Flux, you need to use a lot of natural language and a lot of details in your prompt. And you can either spend a lot of time writing the prompt yourself from scratch, or you can use an automatic Flux prompt generator, where you can basically just input a simple text, a woman in a flower field, and then by using a local model running with Ollama, if I now click generate prompt with LLM, in only a few seconds later, you get like this super detailed prompt that you can use for image generation. And it is like super practical, because not only you can actually use an input image to create caption of that image. So like for example, let's say that I want to replicate this image. I'm gonna upload the image, then click create caption, which will basically use the Flowers model to analyze this image and create a caption. So as you can see, it has correctly identified even the written text. So this model is like super powerful. And once you have that, you're gonna click add caption to prompt, then generate prompt with LLM. And once again, a few seconds later, you get like this super detailed prompt that you can use for image generation. And everything is running on your local computer. Now, I'm not gonna go into details on how to install this, because if you are one of my Patreon supporters, you can just use the Flux Prompter Auto Installer with the launcher. And if not, you can still read the manual installation guide so that you know exactly what to do. And if you don't want to install anything, you can of course use like the online version on Hugging Face, which is still really super practical. So definitely try it out because it is really super cool and very practical and easy to create this super detailed prompt for the Flux image generation. Oh, and also don't forget that I provide priority support for my Patreon supporters. So if you have any question whatsoever, do not hesitate to send me a DM and I will try to answer your question as soon as possible. So yeah, there you go. This has been my video about the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow. Now this video really took me a long time to make because I had to test a bunch of things. I had to optimize to make sure that the people who've never used ComfyUI would be able to use this workflow very easily. And in the end, I decided to make it the way it is, but also leave possibility for future Patreons to let me know what needs to be added to the all-in-one workflow so that we can get a version 2, version 3, version 4 of the ultimate all-in-one Flux workflow. So yeah, definitely let me know what needs to be added or what needs to be changed, but you should definitely try this out yourself if you can and have some fun. And there we are, folks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you also so much to my Patreon supporters for supporting my videos. You guys are absolutely awesome. You people are the reason why I'm able to make these videos, so thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.